Welcome back, viewers. This is James Com, and I'm not on my bike today, but we're here on the Lower East Side. We're going to go into Pocket Utopia, and we're going to look at an exhibition by this young lady, Sharon Butler.
Hi, welcome.
And the title of the show is Precisionist Casual?
Yes.
Is that correct? And we're going to see if we can get Sharon to talk a little bit about her paintings and the idea of precisionist casualism.
No.
Come over here, Sharon. Let's talk.
Precisionist Casual.
Precisionist casual.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, Sharon is not only a painter, but you're also a blogger,
That's right.
a pedagogue. You're an educator, and you wrote and are writing for the Brooklyn Rail.
Yes, all true. These
Okay.
paintings are, I made them sort of about the neighborhood in Bushwick, where I had a studio on Groton Street. And
Okay.
they're sort of reference the view out the window of all the rooftops in Bushwick.
Right. Now, beyond the subject matter, what I'm kind of interested in is your whole idea. You know, you wrote an essay, and in certain ways it kind of related to some other essays by people like Raphael Rubinstein, who wrote a thing about provisional painting. I guess it's been a couple of years ago now. And even people like Irving Sandler, who identified movements like pathetic art and weak art or Wayne art. Give us a little insight into what your view of casual or provisional painting might be as related to what you're doing with these pieces.
Well, I guess I sort of coined the term casual because I felt as though provisional painting took it to a certain point, but but painters had gone a little bit further than what Raphael was talking about in his article. And I do want to say that just that the term casual doesn't necessarily imply that they're casually made, but that the look comes off as seemingly casual as opposed to tossed off.
Yes, but how are you going to avoid just sort of this turning into a mannerism, sort of like the latest Ralph Lauren style, you know, his 1930s golf club look or something like that?
Well, I mean, I don't really think that's my concern. I think that's inevitable, you know,
Right.
for anything that people are exploring. You know, there's always going to be the second round where it does become sort of mannerist, but then it will ultimately lead to something else.
Tell us about the title of this piece. You've got metallic paint in there, or two, right?
Yes, they have metallic paint. This one's called Soaked Hurricane, in parentheses. And these two, actually, I made it around the time of Hurricane Sandy. And I was thinking about all of those studios that got flooded.
So these are about 18 by 24, something like
They're
that?
18 by 24.
And I like the way that you've kind of avoided the hospital corners.
You know, that comes out of teaching students how to build stretchers.
And how to stretch a
How to
canvas.
stretch a canvas. And I don't know, I just thought, as they were making their canvases and doing things wrong, it struck me that it was sort of interesting when it wasn't quite right. And so I just started leaving them like that every now and then.
So most of these paintings here are, I would call them in the intimate scale, up to about maybe, I don't know, 24 by 30. This is a little larger piece here, so that's probably what, 52 by 40, something like that?
Yeah. I have larger
48 by 36, something like that?
I have larger work, but I wanted to make work that suited the scale of the space.
Okay.
That one is 48. No, that's not right. 40 by 48.
Now, a lot of what you've been doing recently also is just told, you know, you're talking about teaching students how to make stretchers or stretch the canvases, and a lot of this is dealing with that as a kind of almost a subliminal subject matter of what a painting is, what a stretched canvas is, what stretchers are. the surface that you paint on. Most of these are on linen. What's the title of this piece?
This one is called Vent.
Vent. What does that pink dot there mean?
Well, this one, actually,
That's Austin Thomas. I'm sure you're glad to hear that.
but we like the colors of the dots in relation to the pieces.
Oh,
So
it's not just red dots. How about, what's the title of this piece?
this one is stacked. Stacked
And-
HVAC.
So this is 18 by 12, something like that?
I'm gonna get the list.
Well, you know that there's been kind of a long tradition of people that
Stacked unit,
have stacked unit.
and it's 18 by 24 inches.
No way.
I'm sorry. You're right. That's not right.
It's wrong, typo?
That's wrong. It's 11 by 8. I would say it's 11 by 18.
No, okay, 18 by 11. Now, as I was saying, there's a long tradition of people that have been playing with kind of the idea of the stretcher. I know that Gary Steffen did a whole series back in the mid-'80s where he was using the stretcher as a component of the piece, and Jean-Michel Basquiat was known for sort of going out and finding pieces of wood in the construction sites and tying them together and then stapling things on there. And even some of our friends out at the Brooklyn Rail, what's her name, Griffin, Nora Griffin has been doing some paintings that kind of relate to this. So there is kind of a group of artists that are playing with that. What do you think makes that kind of interesting for you? The idea of sort of playing with the elements, that the material things that make up a painting.
Well, I've always been interested in the surfaces and the objects, and made the stretchers in the wood shop, and then carefully stretched everything and sanded things down. I was always very interested in the
But these look like Utrecht stretchers.
Right. And that was several years ago. And then as I moved along, I decided I was going to stop being so concerned with the surface and the object and just work on it in terms of the image. And those were the paintings I had at the storefront a couple of years ago. And I just realized that that building the thing itself was much more important than I thought. So for this group of work that I've been working on for the last year or so, I've been building all of them and sort of considering the materials more specifically. You know, the fact that I'm using the thinner stretchers rather than the thicker ones, and the canvas board, and, you know, using materials in a way that for me,
It's more honest.
it's honest.
And you get involved with sort of the process
Yeah.
and the craftsmanship
Yeah.
of what it means to be a painter.
Yes, and it's definitely,
Even if you do it in kind of a dumb way and shove it
Yeah.
in people's faces.
yeah, and it's definitely about the object as well as the image. I mean, it's not, and so for me, it's not a window into something. It is the thing.
So you're sort of on the Don Judd side of what a painting is and the materiality of this. This is kind of a nice one on canvas board. Now it looks like you actually had an image going there and then you masked it out
I did.
and did kind of a monochrome
Yeah, I really like,
off-white thing on top there.
I really like the idea of masking off shapes and
I noticed.
then sort of making them
Almost painting negatively.
Well, but then they become poorly masked, and then you get sort of the slippage underneath the
Right.
tape.
We call that tumors. We've got some visitors. Tell us a little bit about this piece.
Well, this one also was from the sort of period of Hurricane Sandy, and so this is a little HVAC unit on its side.
And this one is just pretty much what I would call a straight painting.
Yes.
It's
This,
properly stretched.
these ones that are properly stretched are from a painting class I taught at American University last summer.
Down in DC?
Yes, they were examples I made on how to stretch a painting. And so, for me, they were kicking around the studio, and I used them a little bit like ready-mades.
And this is another example of your masking
But I
here.
think also having them in the show, you know, points to the fact that it's not that I don't know how to stretch a canvas, that I'm very specifically stretching them the way they're stretched for a
For a meaning,
purpose.
right,
Yeah.
right. So there's a certain amount of content in there. And we've got some examples, some other things here on canvas board. Oh, those are pre-stretched canvas. Okay, well, we'll run over here and wrap up looking at this wall. Also, I think that a lot of these more recent pieces, your color has become much more subtle, and you've kind of toned down a lot of things.
Yeah, true. And the color, I like to think of the colors as like dirty pastels. The color
Dirty pastels.
Yeah, the color is worn out. It's sort of lost. It's lost its vibrancy, but at the same time, it sort of becomes a little bit richer with that.
Right, it has its own character, maybe a little more
Exactly. And the colors
wear
are
and
all-
tear patina on there.
Yeah, the colors are all sort of inspired by the colors of Bushwick.
Now, this is oil, acrylic, mixed media. What are your?
These on these are oil, and the ones on the unprimed are pigment and silica binder.
Pigment and silica binder, so that's where we're seeing the little flashy sparkles in there. I thought that was rabbit skin glue, maybe.
No.
What's the title of this piece?
This one is called Unblinking.
That's a great title.
Yeah.
I'm blanking.
Okay, underpainted HVAC. Underpainted HVAC. And this is gesso. It's painted with gesso and pigment. So there's sort of taking what's usually the underpainting and making that the main layer.
Now, how about the element of the wrinkling, the
Well, this
kind of
was
the
this was
slack,
yeah.
rumpled canvases?
This was a linen tarp, the kind of tarp that you get at the hardware store that you put down on the floor. And so I painted it, and then what I do is
But it's cotton. This is not linen. This is cotton, right?
No, it's linen.
It is linen.
Yeah. I cut the tarps into pieces, and then I put them through the laundry. And then I put them through the dryer, and then I paint them. And then I find whatever stretchers I have kicking around, and I'll stretch them on that. And so they don't always fit.
Okay, we're going to conclude looking at this piece. Jeez, this one's even got your signature penciled in on there. And look at that, it's got a green dot. What's the title of this? We don't know.
Egress.
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 Now, how about the kind of the frayed edges on these? Do you sit around and sort of pull off the
No,
threads until it looks the right way, or do you?
I run them through the laundry. The washer
Oh,
and
you really
dryer.
you're washing your canvases before you put it on there.
Yeah. Well, this one actually I washed it after I painted it. And that was the first one.
You're so tidy.
That was the first one. I washed it after I painted it just to see what would happen. And it was one of those moments where it came out of the washer and dryer and it was this little crumpled up ball, and I sort of smoothed it out and I thought, oh, this is good. I didn't know why, but I just thought it somehow spoke to me. And then of course I started gathering up all the pieces and throwing them through the washer machine.
You know, in a certain way, this does kind of relate to fashion and somebody's torn jeans. You know, it's very,
Yeah.
very trendy these days. Okay, Sharon Butler, Precisionist Casual at Pocket Utopia. Get out of here! Come on.
We're in Manhattan, but we're on our
What's
way
the
to Butler
address?
tonight.
What's the address?
191 Henry Street.
Norte Mar? Is that where you're going?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see you there.
And Mary Judge's new space.
Okay, skin space. Thanks, Austin.
You have to show me how to knock that.
Okay, thank you, Sharon Butler, and
Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, James Conn.
thank you, Kate. Give us a good closing. Thank you.